Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Ango Show. We are live and it is March 21st, 2025. And I want to say shout out to everybody joining us today, watching live today on Friday. Today is a great day. Billy TKO is joining me. In just a couple hours, WWE SmackDown will be going live if you are an international viewer. Otherwise, if you live in America, you got to wait. You got to be patient. But tonight's SmackDown is a star-studded SmackDown, honestly. And for today's episode of the Ango Show, I feel like we should talk about SmackDown before it even goes on air, because this very well might be the biggest episode of the year. No exaggeration when I tell you how star-studded this is. This is absolutely insane. We have Roman Reigns confirmed, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, Bianca Belair, and Charlotte Flair all scheduled and advertised for today's episode of SmackDown. So this is a big one, bro.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm going to stay off social media. I have some things to attend to during the day after we're done here. And then following that, I'm going to go home tonight, watch SmackDown, eat some dinner. So I am going to be staying off of social media because I see all you bad people in the chat and what you're talking about.
Yeah, I see it too.
I see it. I'll be attending later. So don't message me. Don't tell me. I don't want to know nothing. But it is. It's going to be it's stacked. Yeah. After what we've seen on Raw a couple of weeks ago, finally getting the follow-up to that, yeah, run it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's crazy, too, because I'm taking the same approach as you. Obviously, you know, when I was going to Chicago and stuff, and you got the VPN, and then you're like, you know, you have the ability to watch on Netflix. It was a little bit easier because of the long car ride type shit. But right. Today, I'm going to definitely watch SmackDown live. Well, on USA Network. I'm not going to watch it on Netflix. Yeah. I'm not doing the VPN thing. I'm going to stay away from social media. Really, that's just because I have some other things to attend to as well.
Same.
But it is crazy, man. Like, this is a very star-studded SmackDown. It's in Italy, which, as you guys know, these international crowds have been really hot. We don't know what to expect from Italy, right? I mean, hopefully they follow what Belgium did, but just in general, WWE is really on fire right now when it comes to these international shows. And I'm hearing some whispers of something really, really big happening today. And, you know, it's obviously a 3-hour show that they're going to have to fill the gaps with. So I don't know if this is 100% accurate. I don't know if it's 100% a thing. I'm not reporting anything by any means, but I've heard some whispers that today might be the day that we see the return of the Wyatt Six, and they will set their targets for WrestleMania. So I don't know if that's going to happen today. There's been no confirmation on that from any sources other than one little whisper that was made to me. So we'll see if Uncle Howdy is actually, cleared. But of course, if that is true and we get the Wyatt Six on there and obviously with Alexa Bliss, you know, being part of the group, and they've already done the teases. I know PWN did put something out where they did confirm that all is good with the Wyatt Six and the plans were imminent. And same thing with Alexa. So a lot of people were thinking like Alexa Bliss being pulled off of WWE World might be having some issues with WWE or something like that. There's no indication that's true. So I'm hoping that, you know, the person who gave me the little whisper to expect the Wyatt Six tonight, I hope they're accurate, because if you add the Wyatt Six
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, listen, SmackDown's a 3-hour show. You watch it at 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., probably not a big deal. But if you're watching it on 8 p.m. on a Friday 11. Night, so it's going to be interesting, man. Definitely a stacked SmackDown. Guys, if you want to continue driving the conversation forward, you guys got questions, comments, things that you want answered, feel free to drop a super chat, because as always, as you guys know, we'll pull those up on the screen. We'll answer them, and it's definitely appreciated. Listen, man, like it's Billy, let me just ask you, right? First things first, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns. Like, we're going into SmackDown. You really want to make SmackDown must see? You really want to make this a big episode? We need that follow-up, right? Not just a promo from Seth Rollins on Raw, but we need like an actual legitimate follow-up. We saw what happened in the cage match. What are you expecting here? What do you want to see here? What are you thinking?
So I think you need to kick off this SmackDown the same way you kicked off Raw, right? You need to kick it off hot. I would actually start off with Roman Reigns coming out and let that be the introduction to SmackDown. You open up with Roman Reigns and you let him talk about everything and what he did and why he did what he did. I think that would be a great opening. But when it comes to expectations, I'm expecting us to start finally getting some teases. Maybe, Roman looking at Paul after what Paul did with Punk in the ring, and that's why, Roman laid him out. Just starting to get some answers and start filling out that gap. But what exactly are you expecting from the night?
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with the idea of them starting off hot.
Mm-hmm.
I think starting with Roman Reigns would be very, very unique because when you look at the dynamic between Rollins, Punk, and Roman, I think Roman being the babyface that kicks off SmackDown, I
Mm-hmm.
think what should happen is Seth interrupts Roman,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yep.
think if Seth interrupts Roman, I think that's when you have Punk interrupt Rollins.
I could see
And
that.
what I really want for them to do, and I don't know if this is really going to happen, but I would love to see them just have Punk and Rollins just brawl and have Roman walk away with Paul Heyman. And the reason why I say this is because if you remember my prediction, a little bit ago about Rollins being a Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah.
You remember that, right? So
Yep. I
in my
remember that prediction clear as day.
yeah, so to me, it's like if you have Paul Heyman walk out with Roman and they just kind of leave them alone, I think it kind of distorts the viewers' expectations a little bit of like, oh, that's probably not going to happen. So I want
Right.
them to make it very, very clear that it's not a possibility only for WrestleMania to happen where Paul Heyman walks out with Seth Rollins.
It's so funny because I seen somebody and you had quote tweeted it. They had
Yeah.
kind of made the same prediction you did.
Yeah, like 2
And
weeks
it
later.
started making the rounds a little bit.
Yeah, it's making the rounds a little bit. That thing went incredibly viral.
Yeah.
Mine didn't, but it's okay because that's
Yeah.
how
That's
social
all
media
right.
works. It's a lack of
Right.
people are not really creative and shit. They just,
Right. But we know who did it first.
yeah, of course.
Come on,
It's
man.
not a big deal.
We're aware.
I think everybody knows if it happens, people will realize, holy shit, Ango is talking about this. Guys, maybe Ango is the writer behind WrestleMania. You just never know.
Right. Exactly. You can never be too sure,
For all you
But
guys
yeah.
know, I might be running Triple H's Twitter account.
Oh my God. He's the guy.
I'm the guy. I'm Triple H himself, dude.
That's crazy, dude. Hello.
I do want to talk more about the Roman Punk and Seth thing, but Toledo Channel kicking things off with a super chat, 100 rupees. He says, "The U.S. crowd, I am happy to be here. European crowd, making worth every minute. Every wrestler is a star. The crowd save the dull moments by their energy." So the thing is, I have always been under this belief. I've always said this: a crowd doesn't make a show good or bad. This is something that I know everybody in the IWC, every podcaster typically disagrees with me here. I've had this conversation. To sit there and say that the crowd noise impacts whether booking is good or bad is bullshit. And so what I've started to realize is people don't necessarily judge even based on booking anymore, but sometimes they just judge based on the overall environment.
Yeah, but I think the crowd really does set the tone for how the show is going to be perceived, if that makes sense. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think booking is important, but I think the crowd and how they react and how they go about things is just as important as the booking.
Yes. But what I will say too is like the environment is a plus. I don't look at it if the environment is bad, like the crowd reactions are bad or whatever. I think what that all that really means is WWE and AEW and TNA and these companies should just no longer go there, right? Go reward the fan bases that spend their money and then actually enjoy the show. And
This is true.
I think that's the way to look at it because if you watch a show like SmackDown's still 3 hours long on a Friday night. Guess what? My opinion, even if the booking is great, it's not going to change. 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. on a Friday night is not necessarily something I'd prefer to be doing. So,
right.
If you have the crowd there and they go crazy, sure, it might seem like a little bit more fun. But guess what? I'm not in the freaking crowd anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me, right?
Right.
But I do love the international shows because they pretty much shit on the United States when it comes to crowd reaction.
Yeah, I mean, we could sit here and conversate it all day. I mean, let's be real here. That we get destroyed by them European crowds.
Oh, yeah.
They look like they want it more.
And they don't get it often.
And I think that's why. That's obviously why. Is because we're so like spoiled when it comes to it.
Yeah. Oh, we
so
are.
Yeah, so WWE choosing to go here on the road to WrestleMania was actually really cool because I think that just again talking about like the crowd sizes and like if they help a show or not, I think overall it helps the atmosphere.
I will say this: when you see on the road to WrestleMania, other people are excited. I do think that's a little bit contagious.
Yes, yes, I
That
would
part
agree.
for sure, I do agree with. But like,
Well, because we get a segment like the John Cena segment, and it's like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. It helps the build. It's helping. I don't know. It's helping drive this show. Like I don't know. Just hearing fans chant and stuff like that. To me, it helps drive the show.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. Appreciate you, bro. A lot of people in the chat. I know Mike just mentioned that the Nightbot is broken. Share the Discord when you can. I will try to do that in a little bit because Discord is currently being occupied by the face of Billy TKO, and I have them all on one screen, so it's completely blocked off or whatever. But yeah, just kind of pointing that out. That's why I can't fix that necessarily right now. But thank
Sorry,
you,
guys.
Mike. Thank you, Mike, for letting me know that Nightbot is down because Nightbot is being a little silly lately.
I'm not gonna lie. I broke it.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell you did, bro.
Yeah, I broke it.
Nice.
Sorry, guys.
Nice, dude. Nice, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back a little bit to the Punk, Roman, and Seth thing.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what the reaction is. And it's not even just with them in particular, but because it's an international crowd, you know, like if Cody Rhodes is cutting a promo or if Seth is like, you know, these crowds, they just kind of get excited for everything. So like, how are they going to do with the heels? How are they going to do with the baby faces? How are they going to react with Roman? How are they going to react with Seth? You know, are they going to be singing Seth's theme song? Are they going to be singing like it's?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's so weird because
I think we can expect all that.
Right now, when you think about it, this triple threat is technically 3 baby faces.
Yeah, I guess it is, huh?
Until Seth Rollins turns heel and joins Paul Heyman.
Yeah. I mean, technically, I do think they're just going to interact all the way around with every single superstar. I think somebody might have dropped it in the chat or something like that. But every time Stelino Channel super chat, it's true. It's every single superstar is a star. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those European crowds, man, they make you feel that. Everybody feels important all the way around, even on a show like SmackDown where not everything has been important, which, by the way, I have to credit WWE here. They played it really smart having Roman, Seth, and Punk, on SmackDown. I think that was genius.
I think in a way, too, they kind of have to have, like, you either open with Cody or you open with the triple threat guys, right? Like, there's no other way. Like,
yeah.
And then I seen some people talk about maybe like Tony D'Angelo and the family being on there.
Yeah.
And I don't know like if WWE would do that or whatever, but I feel like if you're going to open up the show, you got to open it off hot and then you got to end it hot, which makes me think, why the fuck isn't John Cena on this show?
Yeah, well, my guess is he's going to be on Monday. Now, here's the thing is like they're holding a lot of shit hostage. Because like these guys are obviously on this tour with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, why are we holding people back? Why aren't we just building all the way through? Just letting things ride.
Unless John Cena's like on a private jet for like movies or some shit.
He probably is. He probably is. He lives a better life than you and I.
Dude, I almost just got pro wrestling sentelled while we're live.
You almost got what?
Pro wrestling sentelled. You know NBA Sentinel?
Yeah.
So there's a pro wrestling one. I'm going to just send this photo to you because I cannot read this on stream. But for a second, I literally thought it was real. So this is fucking crazy. And if I don't send it to you now, I'm going to forget. And then it's going to be bad.
Okay, send it my way.
I love NBA Sentinel.
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny. And now we have a pro wrestling one. And
hold on, let me look at this.
I was just like, yo, this is crazy. Oh God, I don't know. Okay. I don't know what it was, bro. I don't know what it was. I seen it.
Yeah, bro. I seen it.
I didn't realize it was PW Sentel. So literally, I looked at that and I was like, yo, is that really John Cena's Instagram post? Like, what the fuck? And then I saw. So I just got Sentold while I was live, but
that's funny, man.
Oh,
That is
crazy.
funny.
A couple more super chats. Salino Channel says Fatu needs to win the U.S. title. Fatu, U.S. champion. Braun equals IC champion equals banger. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm 100% under the belief that Jacob Fatu should be a U.S. champion at some point. Obviously, when he wins that belt, he's going to hold it for probably eternity. I'll probably fully be grayed out with my hair, and I'll probably be like 70 years old by the time he drops it. So, listen though, I love Jacob Fatu, so I'm totally for that. I think they're going to
Yeah,
work
but
on
he
that.
has to drop it because, or no, he doesn't have to drop it. He could win the United States Championship, the World Championship. He could do whatever he wants.
Give him all
You
the
know,
championships, dude.
right? Let him win every single championship.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm just being honest. I feel like Jacob Fatu should be a U.S. champion. I'm curious if maybe tonight could be the night where they really start that program between him and LA
Well,
Knight.
I think tonight probably will be the night because they might want to do that match at WrestleMania.
Poor LA Knight. Taking the belt off Shinsuke, only to hot potato it to
Yeah,
Jacob
but
Fatu.
I'm not mad at that though because I think there is we're living right now in a time where like hot potatoing the belt almost makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't need LA Knight to hold the belt for super long. Just let him go tell good stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I
Jacob would
agree.
just look sweet with the belt.
Yeah, for sure. But then part of me wants Jacob Fatu to get drafted to Raw and away from the bloodline entirely and just go off and be the IC champion.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that though.
I know, man. But imagine if they had him go out there and you get Penta and Fatu, and then you
Oh,
got
bro, it'd be fire.
come on, man. How do you? Yeah, listen, I agree. And then also, I know they don't do the brand versus brand Survivor Series thing anymore. But imagine
Yeah.
if Braun was Intercontinental Champion, Jacob Fatu was U.S. Champion. They had a match. Like,
Oh, bro, it'd be gas.
yeah, it really would be. It really
Yeah.
would be. Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. Phil coming in with a $9.99. He says, I was only looking forward to Punk, Rollins, and Reigns, but if the Wyatts return, I think that'll help me with it being 3 hours. Plus, WWE is brilliant with them being overseas weeks before WrestleMania. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've been really enjoying Raw. And I do think to a certain extent, like, I really am not hyping this show up just for the sake of hyping it up. But it is a very star-studded episode. And for a random SmackDown, I mean, yes, it is on the road to WrestleMania, but it does feel like a random SmackDown. Dude, I'm like all about it.
Yeah, dude, me too. This is actually looking like it's going to be a very big SmackDown, and like we've been talking about this whole time, these international shows, they rock. They really do, and like they make shows feel bigger than they are. I'm just being honest.
The thing that nobody's really talking about either, though, but I really do love it, is the tag team division is starting to really come alive.
SmackDown, dude. SmackDown has a really good tag division.
And obviously, with the Street Profits now holding the belts, I kind of wonder what they're going to do there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
We'll see, man.
The yawning is contagious. I'm sorry, guys, but this is what happens when you work through the night, baby.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That is correct. Bro, stop.
It's crazy, bro. But I mean, lately I've been because I came back from Chicago and like I need to respond to emails and calls and bullshit.
Yeah,
and, like,
I get it.
So some of these nights I've been up late, and obviously that's why I yawn a little bit. But that is what it is. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Yeah. Tonight though, back to the super chat. I mean, I'm excited for Rollins, Reigns, Roman, Paul Heyman. See what they do there. If the Wyatt 6 returns, I'm very excited about that because I miss them. A lot of people didn't know that they weren't pulled off of TV because they didn't have anything to do for them. They were pulled off of TV because Bo Dallas, aka Uncle Howdy, was injured. So sounds like he's clear. Hopefully, I mean, dude, imagine them in Italy. The crowd's gonna go crazy.
Oh yeah. As soon as them lights go dark,
Yeah, just like
chef's kiss.
really crazy. So
Now I do wonder if they'll build a program with like the bloodline.
I don't know. I don't think that's the case though, because I think the program is gonna be built for whatever Alexa Bliss is doing.
Yes, I 100% agree, but there is a part of me that thinks like they'd want to do that kind of instantly.
Would you be opposed to Alexa and Nikki Cross tag teaming it up?
No, I wouldn't because I mean, we still have these women's tag titles. They need help really bad, really bad.
I don't agree with that. They don't need help really bad. They've been doing a pretty good job in the last year.
Well, they've been doing better. How's that sound?
Okay, fair enough.
All right,
But
that's fair.
But the thing is, if Alexa and Liv go after the tag belts, then I want Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis going after the men's tag belts.
Yes.
And then I want Uncle Howdy holding every single singles championship belt in the WWE.
I don't think that'll happen, but they definitely need to get to a point to where, because again, these kind of, these characters and how they play them and portray them, it's kind of like how we thought about The Undertaker and like Bray Wyatt. The chase was always better than them actually holding the championship.
No, I know. Obviously, I'm joking about Uncle Howdy holding everything. But, yeah, no, I agree. I think with a lot of dark, cryptic characters, the chase is always a little bit better. And then I think that's how it is in pro wrestling for everything, to be honest.
Yeah, it really is.
There's I think there's too many times where people in the WWE win the belt. Cody's probably a good example of somebody who won the belt and then they've done a good job afterwards. But I feel like a lot of times wrestlers win the belt and then after their reign, it starts to like, for the world championship, it feels like it kind of goes a little downhill because the chase is always better. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Shout out to Phil.
Shout out Phil.
Shout out to Phil for the super chat. Appreciate you.
Rabbit, I know we got one on my channel too.
Okay, I don't see the one on your channel, so let's read this one really quick and then we'll go to
yours. Go ahead, do your thing.
Yep. Jacob Fatu versus Braun Breaker is definitely a future WrestleMania main event. Shout out to Rabbit for the $5 super chat. I think this is a no-brainer. I think Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker is a future WrestleMania main event. I think there's a lot of options. Jacob Fatu, world champion material.
For sure, WWE is doing a really good job at telling you who's going to be important in the future. They look like B-line guys right now, but you have to understand that that's not the case because, they're being presented on TV. They're being presented well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like a Carmelo Hayes who's always on TV. Yep. You know what I mean? And yes, he may lose and do all of these things, but the important message here is that he's on TV. Braun Breaker is obviously the IC champion. Yeah. Jacob Fatu getting a lot of TV time. Like these guys are going to play very, very important roles as time goes on.
Yeah, for sure. And we had this conversation before, even with NXT, and like it's by design. You know what I mean? It's okay for people to win or lose, but it's about being relevant on TV. And WWE does do a good job of that. I don't care what anybody says. Like they really, really, really do a good job of that.
For sure.
And I think for some people, they really hate this about WWE because then it's like, well, Carmelo Hayes isn't winning. But like, let's be real. Carmelo Hayes and Jacob Fatu are both guys that should be U.S. champion. But
agreed.
But Carmelo Hayes, you don't have to rush. You know what I'm saying? So
no, obviously, this guy has talent.
Yeah, so the priority should be Jacob Fatu first, then eventually get to Carmelo Hayes. But as long as you're doing something with Carmelo Hayes on TV, just to let people know who he is, it works. This is the same reason why if WWE put the World Heavyweight Championship on Karrion Kross in 6 months, it would work. Because for the last year and a half or whatever, they've done a really good job of making him feel relevant to storylines and characters everywhere on the show. So even though he's not on this massive singles feud, he has such a wide array of influence on the program where it's like, thankfully, a guy like Karrion Kross exists so these things could happen. So eventually when Karrion Kross goes and gets the belt, it's going to be great because it's the relevancy thing. And I think wrestling is all about relevancy. So, for example, I love to give this example of Bronson Reed. When he got re-signed to the WWE, everybody complained, like, oh, they're not doing anything with him. Brother, he's on TV every single week. What do you mean?
Right.
You got to get the audience acclimated to what he is and who he is and everything like that. And
agreed.
At the end of the day, you keep doing it, and then eventually what happens? Oh, now Bronson Reed's getting massive reactions. Oh, Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman just had a sick-ass spot. Wow, okay, Bronson Reed's injured. Fuck, we missed Bronson Reed. So what does that do? You successfully got Bronson Reed over. When he comes back eventually, and
it's going to be a huge moment.
It's going to be a huge moment. Okay, now you want to put Bronson Reed for a singles title. Easy. Because the people you've acclimated, you've made him so relevant to your program that the audience is now acclimated to who he is. It eventually does work. And that's a big part of it. So
For sure.
Shout out to Rabbit for the super chat. Billy, you said you got one on your channel. Go ahead and read that, sir.
Yeah, so this is from Sam Pibbin. It says, "Hey, Ango and Billy, do you want to do a live stream reaction or recap to SmackDown tonight?" I think asking if you and I are going to do a reaction tonight. And this is for $9.99. So appreciate you, Sam. But I do believe we'll be back live on Monday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I don't plan on doing nightly review shows unless it's like for pay-per-views.
Right.
That might change in the future, honestly. That's a possibility. You never know.
For sure.
But for now, I'm really enjoying this 12 p.m. time slot.
Yeah, I love the noon slot.
Yeah. So
very big fan. But I will have a video up of like a more of a review of what happened on SmackDown tomorrow.
Nice. So make sure that's your guys' lesson to subscribe to Billy. Shout out to Sam Pibboon for dropping a super chat on Billy's channel. Right hand Cam dropping a super chat. He says, "I would rather see Jimmy with the U.S. title instead of Jacob. Also, I want to see Solo versus Jacob at WrestleMania." Yeah, listen. Jimmy is starting to make me kind of happy with his work as a singles guy.
For sure.
I would have no problem with WWE rewarding him with a U.S. title reign whatsoever. And the cool thing is if he were to win the U.S. title, that feud with Jacob would be a great feud, and it's an easy way to give the belt to Jacob. So I would never be opposed to that. Like I said, right now, he's kind of, as of right now, Jimmy is starting to really get over with me. So I enjoy watching him, so I would never be against that.
His work with Drew's been really good, man. With Drew McIntyre?
Yeah, oh.
And then he had that segment with Gunther last week. Thought that was great.
You know, it's tough, too, because as twins, it's already hard enough when you're tag team and you get split up, right? Because there's always going to be one that benefits and one that doesn't. But I think it's even more tricky for these two guys because of the fact that they are twins. And they are identical twins. Like, yes, we kind of learned to know the difference between them. But if you go back into the early days of WWE, like, they looked so similar that people really couldn't tell the difference between them. So now Jimmy's kind of crafted his own style, his own thing. And Jay obviously has his thing with the Eat and, like, having his own persona. They've done a really good job of Jimmy selling that he's different from Jay, but also at the same time too, still having that respect to acknowledge where they came from and everything like that. So
yes,
listen, I'm not gonna lie, Cam. Like I would never be opposed to it. Let's be real. This singles run for both guys probably isn't going to be forever. I would be very shocked. I do think
they're eventually going to get back to those two.
Yeah, so it's like I have no problem with them rewarding them. Look at Jimmy and Jay, what they've done for WWE for like last 15 years, bro. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a very long time. And it's the same reason why, like, even Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, like, I wouldn't mind them winning, like, splitting up and winning a singles championship. Because sometimes it would just be nice to reward your talent for this incredible work that they've done. So I'm not opposed to it. But if Jimmy won the U.S. title, Jacob Fatu is the perfect person to take the belt off of him. So,
I would agree.
Shout out to Right Hand Cam for the super chat. I saw Brian McCaddy put something in the chat, like, where's Hikuleo? I made a video on this the other day, so I definitely recommend you watch it. But he's basically just, like, training. So, I don't know. Like, maybe... Dude, I don't know what the hell their plan is for Hikuleo. Like, is he going to debut in NXT? Maybe he debuts... I feel like Hikuleo would have been a great feud for Obafemi, to be honest, because they're just both giants, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll see. And then obviously we didn't do an NXT show this week, but
no, we did not.
But Dark State exists. So
yes,
we know that Dark State's the name.
Fire name.
I like the name, and I'm 100% convinced that Trick Williams is the leader. So that makes me excited for Sam to learn.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's big. We'll talk about that on Tuesday. Definitely want to have a conversation about that. You think Trick's the leader?
Why didn't they attack his ass?
This is true. I can see it. And I can see it all day long.
Trick is a great talent, bro. He's a really, really good talent. So to me, I feel like there's something there. I mean, who knows? We'll obviously see, but yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm shocked that they want to commit to a Trick Williams heel turn, but clearly they have.
I was about to say, it's not the worst thing. You know what I mean?
Phil says maybe it's Javon. I don't think it's Javon, but you never know. I don't know.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
know
think
if
it's
Javon
Javon.
would be a leader of the group though, because
I did like the the spin on all three of those, Javon, Trick, and O-Ball being in the ring.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
big fan
was
of it.
that was good booking.
Yeah.
Back to SmackDown. Woo,
Yeah.
SmackDown.
Smack it down.
So obviously we got Randy Orton on the show, we got
Yep.
Cody Rhodes on the show, and we got LA Knight on the show.
Are we gonna have Kevin Owens on the show?
We don't know.
That'll be interesting to see.
That's a tough thing. Like, what are we thinking there?
Yeah. I don't know because we got to start building to that. You know what I mean?
I want to know what they're gonna do with Randy in Italy. I want to know what they're gonna do with LA Knight in Italy. I don't know. This is the one thing where it's like I want a clear direction. Obviously, Kevin and Randy's the feud, but
For sure.
the fact that they haven't announced Kevin Owens being there is kind of like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a little funky.
don't just give me a Randy Orton promo.
No, because you gave that to me last week.
I would have him try to punt the head off of somebody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who's
Yeah,
like an
maybe
annoying ass heel.
Carmelo. Yeah, I mean, but he fought Carmelo. Didn't he
Yeah.
fight Carmelo last week?
So that's what I'm saying. Like, who's a really annoying heel? The Miz. Maybe Randy Orton
Yeah.
should have like a Miz TV segment and then try to punt him, and then I don't
They
know.
try and they stop him again or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe no, I don't think he should get it. I think his first punch should be on Kevin Owens.
No, it has to be WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That's how he ends the match. That's how he wins the match.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna beat Kevin Owens.
Right.
So, Rabbit coming through with a super chat for $10. He says, when Jay wins the championship from Gunther, who do you think is going to take the title from Jay? Because theory is it's going to be Braun Breaker who loses the title to Penta at WrestleMania. Thoughts? Rabbit, I have answered this for like the last 4 months. Billy, can you remind the world what Ango has predicted like 5 trillion years ago?
Oh. Sami Zayn, guys.
Yay, Billy remembers. Nah, for real. That's
Yeah, Sami Zayn should be the guy that ultimately takes it from Jay when Jay wins.
Yeah, Sami Zayn, baby. And
We've been saying it over here for a long time.
heel Sami Zayn, and it's gonna be so wonderful. It will be the best cinema ever.
Agreed.
That ass though,
Agreed.
like legit, people are gonna fucking freak the fuck out. They're gonna be like, "Oh my god!" And then when it happens, just remember who fucking told you guys. Just remember.
We've been saying it here a real long time.
I never forget your reaction when I told you, and you're like, "Really?" I'm like,
Yeah. Yep.
Really?" But it's true. I really think so. I think it's perfect, man.
I do too.
Think about
Makes
Sami
sense.
Zayn. Sami Zayn, he could be when he turns heel on Jay, man. That's
And the cool thing about it is we know the heel turn won't be goofy, like how his last heel turn was when he turned with Kevin.
oh
many years
no,
ago.
yeah. This is gonna be totally different. This is him finally waking up from the fucking miserable
This
dreams
isn't-
of the bloodline.
Yeah, this isn't goofy Sammy. This is pissed off Sammy.
Remember when Sami Zayn was training with Chad Gable?
I do remember that.
That was like the first time where I feel like Sammy was like, oh, it just makes sense.
It does.
It just makes sense. I can't wait. But here's the good thing, right? So, because
Yeah.
listen, when you look at Rabbit Super Chat, so look, 100%, Sami Zayn takes the belt off of Jey Uso. However,
Yeah.
which by the way, you got to reward Sami Zayn. This guy's been MVP forever. Johnny Knoxville match at WrestleMania to everything he's been doing.
Oh,
Tag team
dude.
championships.
Sammy's been holding it down.
Goat. Seriously, a hell of a talent. But then you got to look at Braun Breaker. Let's say Braun Breaker loses the belt to Penta, which I don't think happens. I think it's a multi-man match, personally. But let's just say he loses it to Penta. Penta walks out of WrestleMania with the Intercontinental Championship. Now you got to choose somebody to take the belt off of Penta.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing is you have built up Pete Dunne. You have Tyler Bate coming back. You have Bronson Reed eventually coming back. You have, just a plethora of talent. You're going to do a WWE draft as well. But your mid card is stacked on Raw. Like, honestly, I hate to say this, but I fucking love the kid. I would have Dominic Mysterio beat Penta.
That would, hey, listen, I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, like I would never be against that. I think Brian McHattie, no, I'm sorry, Bonkers LFC puts Sheamus, Ilya Dragunov. Again, both of those guys having a singles match with Penta, banger. Like, there is no wrong answer, bro. The thing is, there's no wrong answer, and there's nobody that's going to sit here and say you wouldn't enjoy these matches. Even Dominic Mysterio, bro, would go out there and have a banger with him. So,
yeah, absolutely would.
It's so good. So good. Shout out to Rabbit for the super chat. Brian McHattie dropping a $5 super chat. Do they keep Penta and Phoenix separate for singles runs or immediately put them together in a tag? So, Brian, we've actually discussed this before. My opinion hasn't changed on this. But this is what's weird about the internet. There was reports that came out that said WWE is launching them as a tag team. However, last week on SmackDown, while I'm driving to Chicago, I'm watching SmackDown, and what happens? We have a Rey Fenix vignette. So obviously he's going to SmackDown.
So they're going to keep them separate.
But I told Billy early last week or 2 weeks ago, I predict that what they will do is Rey Fenix will be on SmackDown, Penta will be on Raw, but I can see them doing something where they tag team together at WrestleMania. However, the only issue with that now is we just saw this past week Raw with Penta and Braun Breaker face-to-face holding the belt. So I don't think that's going to happen. But originally, what I was predicting was they're going to acknowledge that they're brothers. They're going to acknowledge the Lucha Brothers 100%. They're going to be singles. And then I think at some point they will be a tag team, whether it's a one-off or, like a storyline where Nick Aldis sends him to help out his brother.
They'll probably do a segment where they congratulate each other or whatever backstage or something like that and have a moment with those two. That's kind of how they, let you guys know that they know each other and things of that nature.
Yeah, they're not going to deny it because they're also going to want to make money off the Lucha Brothers.
Right.
Which is fine. I'm cool with that. And listen, I'm going to be real, too. You let them go out for singles runs. Now on SmackDown, your mid-card's getting even better. Jacob Fatu, Rey Fenix.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, listen, those two guys are going to go out there and fucking kill it. It's a styles clash that's just going to be awesome. But then you also get Rey Fenix and Carmelo Hayes. Going to be really, really good. Okay, now imagine Apollo Crews comes back, right? People forget, before he got injured, he was relevant in the U.S. title picture before he got injured. He tore his pec.
Yeah, he was showing up.
But when he comes back, people sleep on Apollo Crews, but this guy can wrestle. Okay, now you got Apollo Crews and Phoenix going out there and having bangers. Who knows what happens with the draft? Tiffany Stratton's on SmackDown, Ludwig Kaiser's on Raw. They're obviously trying to keep couples together. Okay, maybe you put Ludwig Kaiser on SmackDown, which personally I would. And then you have freaking Ludwig Kaiser going out there having bangers with Phoenix. And then, oh, by the way, you can't forget about Santos Escobar. So you're going to dude, you're just going to have a plethora of great matches on Raw and SmackDown in the mid card to the point where it's going to be really hard for people. Once it happens, once you guys see the rosters get a little bit more balanced, you'll come to realize, holy shit.
Yeah. Somebody in my chat mentioned, they said, not to mention Malachi Black.
Which, by the way, his vignette also aired last week.
Right.
I kind of wondered, okay, do they put Aleister Black tonight on SmackDown? Fuck! Can you imagine if Aleister Black came out, international crowd, fucking going crazy? Oh, bro,
it would be hot as hell. WWE would be real smart to do it on this European tour.
I know Rey Fenix was reportedly going to be after the European tour.
That's fine, but if you do, I think if you're going to do Malachi, you do it overseas.
How many more international shows do they have, or is this the last one?
No, they have Monday. They're going to be in Glasgow.
Yeah, Scotland.
And then they have Friday again, and then that following Monday they're in London.
So where are they at next SmackDown?
I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I know that following Monday they're in London. So my guess and my take here is that Friday,
probably
so a week from today. Yeah, probably in another country.
I can't wait to see those vignettes today, boy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That
I agree.
Crazy.
It is.
Shout out to Brian McHattie for the super chat. Phil coming through. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say I have somebody waiting on my channel. I was just going to go ahead and do Phil first. We'll get to mine after.
Okay. Sounds good. Sorry about that, Billy's.
No, dude, it's so hard keeping up with both.
I know, right? Phil dropping 9.99. He says Sammy turning heel aligns when Cross was getting into his head. I originally had Sammy winning the 2026 Rumble, but it's got to be sooner than that if that's what you're thinking with Jay winning at WrestleMania. So I think you plant the seeds. You plant the seeds. I think really Sami Zayn actually wins Money in the Bank. And I think what you do is you have John Cena being a heel holding the WWE Championship, right? Because he wins at WrestleMania. And I think everybody's going to assume that Sammy goes and cashes in on John Cena, but the reality is he doesn't. He turns his back on Jay, and that's how he wins. And then that's kind of how they do it. That's what I would prefer.
I like that.
But it is
I don't
true.
hate that.
It is true. Sammy turning heel aligns with Cross, and that Cross has an impact on everything and everybody. And I love it.
I love it too.
Did you see the theory, by the way, with Karrion Cross wearing his hair matching with all the wrestlers he interacts with?
No. Oh, no, but now thinking about it, how he had his hair down with AJ Styles.
Hair down with AJ Styles, hair up, tied up like, what's his name? Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Just like every time.
No shit.
Yeah, there's a theory about it that was really cool. And it's pretty spot on, to be honest.
I like that. That's a really good theory.
Yeah, Karrion Cross. It's the little things, man. I love the guy. I can't wait till he gets an opportunity, man.
Yeah, agreed.
Shout out to Phil for the super chat. One thing I will say actually really quick, because Phil says it's got to be sooner. The thing is, if you wait until the Royal Rumble in 2026 in Saudi Arabia, obviously for those who don't know, Sami Zayn is a Muslim performer.
Yes.
Like he is Muslim, right? So the thing is, 2026 happens in Saudi Arabia. We saw the reaction he got in Saudi Arabia last time they were there. Obviously, with Sami Zayn, if he were to be in Saudi Arabia 2026 Royal Rumble and he won, I have no problem with that. But the only thing is, I don't know how confident I am in Jey Uso holding the belt for like
all the way that long
for another year. I don't.
Right. Yeah.
So I just want to make that point. And who knows? Jey Uso might surprise us. I like Jey Uso a lot, but he isn't, when it comes bell to bell, he isn't necessarily the best as a in-ring guy. He's not bad by any means. I just don't think he's the best. So I do think eventually it could get to the point where people will be like, all right, I'm kind of tired of the shtick. We'll see.
For sure.
We'll see what happens, obviously, but
right.
I just want to make that point. Shout out to Phil for the super chat. Billy, go ahead and read the super chat on your channel.
I got Ronnie Southern over here. He said, I pledge allegiance to the champion of the United States of America and to the republic for which she stands, one nation, under Chelsea with Piper and Alba for all. So Ronnie over here is alluding to Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, and Alba Fire.
Yeah.
Shout out, Ronnie. $10 super chat. Thank you so much, man. I'm very excited to see what they do and how they follow up tonight with that whole Alba Fire situation and everything that took place last night. What are your takes on it?
Yeah, I mean, I really love Alba Fire, and I also just want to point out Alba Fire on NXT checking Mike Rome doing the ring announcing at Secret Service was the funniest little detail that you could imagine. Like, it was so funny to me because that's what Secret Service is. So you got to act like Secret Service. You got to protect your surroundings. I love Alba Fire. I'm glad that she's in the mix. I actually hope that she's part of this Secret Service bullshit. So eventually it leads to her having a feud with Chelsea and then winning the U.S. title.
I would agree there.
And that would be really crazy if the Secret Service turned on the president. Like that would be really crazy.
Dude, that would be insane.
From a WWE storyline standpoint, it would be insane. So who knows? But yeah, I like that. I like Chelsea Green as champion as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I said, I know we talked about it, I think Monday or whenever we did our Tuesday maybe. But I like the idea of Zelina Vega also going after Chelsea Green. So they have some work that could be done to improve the women's mid card on SmackDown, but there has already been some.
Well, it's really funny because I was complaining about the Women's United States Championship, and it just felt like with one little snap of the finger, it was like, okay, we're going to start taking that direction to try and fix this situation. I'm a big fan of what they did with Alba Fire and bringing her into the mix.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Ronnie, thank you so much for the super chat, man.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. All these super chats are great. Just reading some of the things in the chat too. Zach Pack says Apollo just lacks a sold character. That's really it. But the thing is, in the mid card for WWE, SmackDown, and Raw, and I've said this even with AEW, it's like if your strength is your wrestling ability, then play into it, right? Like Will Ospreay is the aerial assassin. Like you can come up with a little bit of something for Apollo Crews. And I like Apollo Crews, man. I really liked him when he was Uha Nation back in the Indies. and
Yeah.
and he's just such a great talented guy. And you know, honestly, man, people forget that he won the Intercontinental Championship and he did the stuff with Commander Aziz, and some people didn't like it, but to me it was cool because it was something different for him and it gave
Hmm.
him a chance to do something. And I just think sometimes talented people deserve a little bit of that spotlight, and it's hard because there's so many great people on the roster, but there are some people who do get utilized less than others. And Apollo Crews is an example of somebody who's like, you don't hear of situations of him complaining. You don't hear of any contract issues with him. You don't hear of any stories of him just flat out denying to do work. He shows up when he's called upon. They sent him to NXT 2.0 and they gave him a new gimmick and he tried something new and it was actually pretty cool. Like he made it work, you know? So like sometimes there's just guys out there where maybe they don't have the strongest character, but then my belief is like, okay, try to give them something a little bit. You don't need to give them something crazy and over, you know, something overly exciting.
Overbearing or
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
but like give them a little something, right? If Will Ospreay could be the aerial assassin, then Apollo Crews can have something too, right? And just let him go out there and
Agreed.
listen. He goes out there and he has these banger matches, and you got Andrade on SmackDown, and like there was a lot of things. There's a lot of things you could do with these mid carders because these mid carders, all of them have the strength of being in ring competitors. There's not one
Agreed.
person on the Raw or SmackDown mid card that is a bad wrestler, and
Agreed.
there's also a lot of guys with great character. So like, yeah, I'm cool with it, man. Honestly, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
Love it, man.
yeah, and one thing too, man, Billy, and maybe you have an opinion on this, but like,
Yeah.
I'm always under the belief that with certain people in WWE, because it's just in general so different from what they typically do, it would be nice for them to put the belt on somebody. So, for example, like when people were like earlier in the chat when we were talking about Jimmy Uso, it's like
Hmm.
Jimmy hasn't had a singles run really in his career. Now he is, and there's an opportunity for him to potentially become U.S. champion. Why not give him the U.S. championship? He doesn't have to have a 9 month reign. He wins the U.S. championship. Okay, he drops it to Jacob Fatu. Now you have some
Hmm.
fresh faces holding the belts, and
Yeah.
then it allows you to say, okay, Jacob Fatu had his run. Let's move him up to the main event. Okay,
Right.
who could beat Jacob Fatu? Now imagine what happens when you have Jacob Fatu dropping the belt. What if he dropped the belt to a Ray Phoenix? You see what I'm saying? Like again, just kind of being different instead of always playing it safe. Like right now, WWE's played
Yeah.
it safe. Shinsuke dropped the belt back to LA Knight. That was a safe call, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, but again, I like you said, it's going out and taking risks. Like, obviously, with Jey Uso potentially winning the world championship, that's obviously a risk that WWE is about to take. For somebody who is known as a quote unquote tag team guy for so long, it's about to beg the question: can this guy actually have a somewhat solid run? We don't know yet, but there is definitely a world where Jey Uso could pick that ball up and run with it. Just because he's having these couple moments that look bad doesn't mean that he can't go out and have a really good title run overall. People can change your mind, man. Opinions are a thing.
I agree. And I think the truth is, like, and I'm sorry, like, the IWC will never agree with this, but dude, you want people to get over. You want fresh faces. I love Gunther. I love Gunther, but we saw him hold the Intercontinental Championship forever. Then we
Yeah.
see him winning the World Heavyweight Championship. At some point, don't people get tired of watching guys hold the belt forever? Like
Yeah, man.
as much as I love Roman and I love the way the story played out, holy shit, bro, 4
You have to
years.
understand that was a once like that wasn't gonna come around again. Like what Roman did was really special, and there's no taking away from that.
No, of
You know?
course, but at some point it's like, okay, I kind of grow impatient. It's like, you know, every time like Claudio got over and then it was like, oh, Cesaro should have won. And it's like
Yeah.
I understand why he didn't win, but imagine if he did win. That would have been
Mhm.
so outside of what WWE does because they always play it safe with Roman. They never take that
Right.
risk. Now I get excited because I see them taking a little bit of that risk, especially when you see Jay
Somebody
potentially
getting
win.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did get a super chat from Tony Brown for 4.99. He says, "Ango, are you allowed to say how you are able to watch SmackDown early?" So this is how it works, right? If you want to watch SmackDown early, you have to be an international viewer that can have access to Netflix, right? Because
Yeah.
SmackDown will be live there. If you live in America and you're not an international viewer, you got to wait until 8 p.m. However, there is something called a VPN, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. I don't
Just a
got
VPN, man.
I don't got a VPN sponsor anymore. I used to, but I did drop them, and so I'm not promoting any VPNs. But if you have a VPN and you know what a VPN does, then you know you can do it.
There you go.
So hopefully that helps, Tony. Shout out to Tony for the $4.99.
Shout out, Tony.
Cornell says the Attitude Era mid card is over this trash. So I'm gonna be honest, man. I mean I've said this before. I keep saying it. Not a big fan of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not too fond of the Attitude Era, and I don't really think the Attitude Era mid card. I don't think WWE has ever had a better mid card than right now.
No, dude, like we said, you can try to compare the past to what's happening now, but it'll never compare because what's happening now is happening directly in front of our faces.
So
you know what I mean?
100%. But also, okay, Penta could be a world heavyweight champion. Bronson Reed could be a world heavyweight champion. One day, Dominic Mysterio will be a world heavyweight champion.
Whether you like to believe it or not.
Pete Dunne could be a world heavyweight champion.
Ilya Dragunov could be a world champion.
Oh, I can't wait till they give us. Oh, I can't wait till they give us Ilya
Penta
versus Gunther.
Oh, and that I was thinking Penta too.
Oh, of course, yeah,
yeah.
But see, these are guys that could become world heavyweight champions. Carmelo Hayes one day will be a world champion.
Braun Breaker is going to be a world champion.
Jacob Fatu. Honestly, like Andrade was NXT world champ, so we know he could be a world champion. Aleister Black is coming into SmackDown. He could be a world champion. That's what the mid card should be. Your mid card should be able to propel talent to the top, and that's why like Damian Priest was a perfect example when he was under Vince McMahon, which I never really expected it from Vince, but Vince did get Damian Priest a very nice U.S. championship reign at a time where the mid card titles absolutely meant freaking nothing. Damian Priest really restored the value of that U.S. title, and then the thing is, what happened? Damian Priest got elevated into the world title scene. And he was fine as a world heavyweight champion. I have no problem with that. But that's what your mid card should be doing. And I will say, like, the Attitude Era to me wasn't really that special. It had its moments, it had its great storylines, don't get me wrong. But from a TV watching standpoint, I don't really think the Attitude Era was that special. I would go as far as saying the Ruthless Aggression Era is probably one of the best eras in wrestling history. But I also feel like the Ruthless Aggression Era, for me personally, was one that I truly enjoyed watching Raw, SmackDown, and everything else they did. Yeah. But also, look how many people benefited in the Ruthless Aggression Era compared to the Attitude Era. And then obviously having the new crop of talent from OVW helping. And there was just a lot more advancement. I don't think the Attitude Era was great. I know people will talk about Stone Cold and The Rock, and that's great, but the Attitude Era was very short-lived. I think people loved the Attitude Era because of the shock factor and it was a very
it was the moments.
Yeah, but I think from a storytelling perspective, I think right now is the best era. The Triple H era of WWE is the best storytelling era.
I would agree. I would agree.
And that could be considered whatever people want to consider it, but I definitely think that's the truth.
Well, let's just be real here. Triple H is better than Vince. Sorry, guys.
Nothing to apologize for. I think that's pretty evident.
Yeah, I mean, if I ruffle some feathers there, whatever.
Vince, back in the day though, was great as a booker.
Like you said, in the Ruthless Aggression Era, it was not bad. That's when I started watching.
No, I think the Ruthless Aggression Era was perfect.
Yeah, I loved it.
I really do. I think it was really, really good. And the thing about the Ruthless Aggression Era is that I think it's timeless. You go back and watch it now and you'll still love it. But I remember watching it in real time, loving it. And as I stated yesterday or whatever it was, I was more of a WCW guy. The Attitude Era. I think it's funny too, by the way, because nobody ever points this out. But if you watch WWE, Vince McMahon specifically, Vince McMahon's ideology on how to book a wrestling match never really changed. You know, I think
Hmm.
during the Attitude Era, he had some great writers and some great moments and some good storylines. Obviously, same thing with the
Yeah.
ruthless aggression thing. But if you ever watch WWE, literally up until Vince's last days, Vince was very comfortable with like rematches, very comfortable
Oh,
with
for sure.
interferences and DQs and non finishes. Vince was always like that. Vince always had this like weird thing about that. But
Well, somebody in my chat, Dashi, actually said for matches for Attitude Era, they just saying that it was like really fast TV. Like everything that Vince did was kind of like it would come in, come out, come in, come out. You know what I mean?
yes,
Everything moves so quickly.
that is true. And I think Triple H lets things breathe, and that's a preference thing. But for me, it's like I don't want all the goodies at once. You know,
Yeah.
I like to just kind of sit and relax and watch
Yeah.
and follow
Vince
the
didn't make
story.
you wait for anything,
Yeah.
especially in his later days.
Oh yeah. Well, also too, like look back at Daniel Bryan winning the world championship. Like that was perfect example of when
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan won at WrestleMania 30. You know, the whole thing with the Yes movement, like
Hmm.
it just goes to show you how different Vince was, because that was, I think that was a big key moment in knowing that Vince really didn't understand. Like, dude, if you
Yeah.
don't listen to your audience at least to a certain degree, you are screwing up, you know. And
Yeah.
Vince back in the day, though, I will never take this away from Vince from a pure wrestling booking standpoint. Like, obviously, he's a genius. He is a genius. He was very smart as a wrestling promoter. There's no doubt about that. But I just think Vince throughout time really stayed. He stayed long overdue, you know, and like
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think that's problematic. I think it was reflective of the product. I think it was reflective of the morale issues. Even when Triple H came in, and immediately we saw a massive change to the way the stories were done, and it was like, oh, Vince is lurking backstage. Vince is lurking through Zoom call. Vince is calling the shots still. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I
I
remember
remember that.
that. It was such a hectic thing, because then it was like Triple H was booking things. And then,
Hmm.
wait, why did they just all of a sudden change gears? Because of Vince. So Vince always had like this one way mentality of what he was doing. And
He did.
I think the benefit of Tony Khan and Triple H in modern day wrestling is they're never going to be perfect, obviously, but I do think there is a sense of Tony Khan and Triple H being like, okay, if enough fans and paying members of our audience are really asking for change, then we
Hmm.
will listen to them. And I think
For sure.
Vince was very much like, I'm not changing for anybody. I don't give a shit. Triple
No, because
H,
Vince was so comfortable in his own skin
yeah,
that it didn't matter. He didn't feel that he needed to change for anybody.
yeah. So when the Death Rider storyline continues, it's like making me think, okay, Tony Khan's kind of like Vince, but
Hell, it's comfortability. That's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I don't know, man.
That I would agree with.
Today's SmackDown, depending on when you guys are watching it. We'll see
Right.
Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte. Who knows what
Yep.
happens there?
You seen Tiffany do some Jeff Hardy type shit last week?
She's good, man.
She is. Love Tiffany.
It's officially set for WrestleMania, obviously, so
Yep.
we'll see what happens there.
Yep. Tiffy time, baby.
I don't know. Should
I
be
don't know either,
interesting.
man. It should be a good show tonight, though.
I'm excited about it, and obviously, I'm sure we'll talk about it Monday live on the
Yep.
Ango show.
That we will.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about, Billy?
No, I don't have anything else, man. I have some things that I got to go attend to here shortly. So,
Nice. Yeah, I think we could call it a day. It's 1 p.m. Keep it at an hour. I think it's simple as that. I think previewing SmackDown was the right call, and
absolutely.
I'm excited. It should be a great show. Maybe we get the Y6. Maybe we don't. Who knows? Maybe we get some more Aleister Black vignettes, and who knows?
Ray Phoenix. Right.
So I am excited about that. I'll be watching at 8. I'm not watching with a VPN. So,
I will be tuning in at 8 as well.
yeah. Nobody send me spoilers and shit.
Dude, we'll just text back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds
there
good.
you go.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time, and enjoy your weekends.
Thank you, guys.